make sense, but whatever. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm very thankful for everyone for being here tonight. So I had started that I was going to do like a presentation with this, and then I was like, who are you kidding? Like, it's April 24th, 7:30 at night. Nobody wants a formal presentation from me right now. All you want to know is like, what is a resource I can use to teach my children tomorrow? And that's what I'm going to go over with you today. So I have been using sound decks since I was Orton Gillingham trained in 2018. And then this year I added in the morphology decks. And so I am very excited to share them with you. I'm going to go ahead and drop a link to both of them in the comments of both chats. Both of them are free. I decided to make the PowerPoint versions of them free because I feel like they are such an easy win. Like, it is such an easy way to get started. And if I can make it free for people, then that means like more people can get them into their classrooms. So I just dropped the link to the free ones in both of the chats. I'm going to be trying to monitor both chats, but I have a chat for Zoom and for Facebook going on. So just be patient with me if I don't get to everyone's questions right away. So a sound deck this is how I always talk to people about what a sound deck is. Think of it like a deck of flashcards, like you would have an alphabet deck where you would show it to your students and you would just have them tell you the sounds, right? Well, it's like that. It's just a little souped up. Instead of just having the letters in the alphabet, what you're going to include is all of the graphemes that you have taught your students. So when I am teaching my kiddos, this is how I like to think of things. I like to think about introducing things at the sound level and then building to the word level, then the sentence level, and then the connected text level. So we're working on building from the smallest unit to the largest unit. So a sound deck is a way that we can help children reach automaticity at that sound level. And so what I do every single day with every single one of my groups is I start with a sound deck. And what I wanted to do before I kind of get into the nitty gritties of how you can make your own sound decks pretty simply, I wanted to share with you an actual sound deck of mine that I have for a group. So as I'm doing this, if you guys have questions, feel free to ask me. So right now I'm just showing you what this would look like in practice, and then I'm going to get into how you can actually do this, okay? So let me share my screen. Okay. Can everybody see the, yes, you can see where it's got the O consonant E. All right, so basically every day when I start my groups, my children come in and the very first thing that we do is this sound deck. So I'm going to pretend that I'm a student and I'm going to share with you exactly what I say to my students when we're doing this, okay? Or what my students say to me when we're doing this. So, O, so they would say O, because that's the sound this makes. Sorry. Ank, ink, onk, unk, sh, a, oh. And I might say something along the lines of, why are there two L's there? And they would say, oh, it's a floss rule. Ang, b, ch, ong, an, ing, eh. Or z, they would say, or z, v, u or u or a, g, o, w, y, o or a, qu, a or a, am, d, e or e, r, p, j, z, or v. And then I stop whenever I get to this slide that says move this slide. It should say slide behind the last grapheme taught. But I really wanted to share with you guys an example of an actual sound deck that I have, because you can see how quickly we move through it is exactly how quickly I move through it with my own students. In a sound deck like this, you are only including the graphemes that you have taught. So there are reasons for the colors. The white ones are consonants. The salmon colored ones are your vowels. And then I made for these ones, the green ones happen to be like the welded sounds. They aren't single graphemes. Instead, they are like multiple sounds that like get chunked together because of that nasalization. So this is how I start every single group. And it literally takes me maybe 5 minutes a week, if that, to update the decks for my groups. So I'm going to stop right there for just a second. Do you have any questions about sound decks just at a general level before I get into more of how I make them each week? And I will get into the morphology ones here soon, but I wanted to show you basic first. All right, I don't see any questions right now, so I'm going to go ahead and move on. So when you download those, okay, I have to apologize for this super cheesy background. My background was a picture of my daughter, and I don't like sharing her face. I had to like really quickly change it to something else. Okay, how many sounds do you recommend including on each deck? So here's the deal. Any of the sounds that you have taught your children should be a part of that deck. And I will take away consonants once they are really good at the consonants, but I never take away the vowels because the vowels tend to be the things that are the most difficult for our students. So I'm going to show you now how you can set up your sound decks for each of your groups. It's going to take you a minute when you first get started. Nope, that's the morpheme one. It's going to take you a minute once you first do it because you'll have to set one up for each group. But once you do it, your life is going to be so much easier. I promise. All right, I'm sorry, I'm trying to pull this up. It's being a pain. Oh my gosh. There we go. Okay, so when you first download the product, it looks like this. It's flattened, you can't like move anything around. I suggest doing this. When you are making a sound deck, you are gonna make copies for each of the groups you have. So you wanna go to Save As. So someone asked if I'm showing this on my computer during my small group time. The answer to that is yes. If you don't have a computer, I do have a physical deck that I will share the link to at the end, okay? But yes, I am sharing this on the computer. Let me close this real quick. I was actually doing, it like with the paper decks for a while, but I was getting so overwhelmed because I have 9 groups. Like it was very hard for me to keep track of all the decks for all 9 groups. So I think that those are really good if you don't have a computer to display, and those ones are really good if you only have 1 or 2 groups. But if you have a lot of groups, having a PowerPoint just makes everything so much easier. So when you are doing this, oh my gosh, I lost it again, y'all. You want to make a copy for each of your groups, okay? So you're gonna go to File, Save As, and then each of my groups, you can see I have one here called Group 6 Sound Deck, Group 5, Group 8. You're literally just gonna be like, okay, well, I have 6 groups. Well, Group 1, Sound Deck. And then you're going to press File, Save As again, Group 2 Sound Deck, Group 3, Group 4. And then that way you have several different copies of it. Then what I suggest you do is this. At the bottom of your screen, there's these little four boxes when you open it that is the slide sorter. I don't know why I said it like that. And basically that just helps you to see it all at once. So when you first do this, delete the first 2 slides. Those are just informational. And I want you to take the slide all the way at the bottom and drag it up behind the letter Z. This slide right here is marking where you have stopped your instruction, right? So if you are doing this for the first time, I'm only going to be doing the alphabet. Even if it's my 5th grade students, I am starting with the alphabet because you are going to be absolutely shocked the number of children who cannot recite single letters with automaticity. Like it's mind-boggling. And if they do really well with it, great. You can take all the consonants out tomorrow. But I think it's really eye-opening to see. And then because we don't want the alphabet to be in order when we first do this, all I want you to do is mix them around. Because this is already done, all you have to do is mix it around. And then you have your sound deck already made. So for my kindergartners right now, this is all their sound deck is. Their sound deck is nothing but the letters of the alphabet. But then look how easy this is. So say you've taught the letters of the alphabet, and now you're teaching your kids digraphs. Well, digraphs are down here. So all you will have to do once you have taught this to your students is you just pull the digraph up to the front, and then you have an updated deck. So before, when I was doing this paper pencil, it was really hard because I would have to like find the right deck, and then I would have to find the right card and put it in each week. But now all I have to do is I just have to look down at the bottom to decide, okay, well, which of these graph themes have I taught, and just drag it up in front of it. Feel free to jump in with any questions. This is one of those things that, because I've been doing it now for like a couple of years, I just like word vomit through it. So please just let me know if you have any questions. So I also include syllable divisions down here. These are for gentle Cindy. So when they see these cards, they are just going to tell me the sound of the C or the G. So like this one would make this. You're just trying to see if they know the gentle Cindy sounds, okay? So say I want to just show you, so that is how you can do it. And then at the beginning of each week, or after you've taught it, all you need to do is open the PowerPoint up, drag a slide up for whatever skill you have taught. And it is truly that simple. Now, oh, Cece, that's a great question. People are always asking me about the funky A, and I do not change the funky A because from the beginning, children need to be able to read that funky A. So if anything that I'm doing with my kids that is writing, I make sure that I have the A, that's that single story A. But if I am doing something that includes reading, I'm keeping the funky A because the print that we see everywhere, like the print that we're seeing in our chat, the print that they see in books is going to be that funky A. And I have to say, even though like I teach an intervention, I really have not had any children who could not identify this as an A from the beginning. So it's not, it is not a font that you can change, but if it means that much to you, all you would have to do is add a new slide, type your own A in there, and you could change it to whatever you want. So you can definitely add your own, because I know that as teachers we have our things that make sense to us, and I totally support that. Now let me just show you, now that we have the typical phonics done, I want to show you just what a phonics deck. So we're now in the 4th quarter of the year. So I want to show you what a phonics deck would look like in the 4th quarter of the year. So this is my 3rd grade intervention group. And you can see at this point in the year, we have our controlled vowels, we have the multiple sounds of Y, but this is something that I had just created, and I really am excited about it because I think that it has helped my children infinitely. So now, if I were to do this deck, when we get to ES like this, they have to tell me the sound is, but then they also have to tell me the meaning, and they would tell me it makes a word plural. It means someone who does something, or it can mean more. Less means without. Id, d makes a word past tense. So you're really kind of upping the ante. Once they have these basic sound symbol correspondences, we can't stop there. We have to start bringing in morphology. And so that is why I created the morphology sound deck. So the 2 sound decks that I have shared with you are the one that I just showed you, and then this morpheme one, which is my new one. And you can just copy and paste them. And what I've included here, I think, is 140 different prefixes, suffixes, Greek combining forms, roots for you to just add. So you would ask the children to read the word, and then you would ask the children to read the word, and then you would ask them to tell you the meaning. Okay, so I am basically towards the end of what I wanted to share with you. So let me kind of just oh, somebody asked a great question. When do you start the morphology deck? As soon as you start to teach them S and ING, you can start. So group 5 is 2nd grade. My 2nd grade group, you can see, already has all of these in here. They have full S, less, id, t. The decks, someone asked where the decks are shared. I'm going to share them again right now. They are completely free. So yeah, as soon as you start teaching, I have found that if you teach children ED, ING, ER, and ES, like the world kind of opens up for them. So those inflected endings are really important. But yeah, so that is all I wanted to share with y'all tonight. I'm not going to take much more of your time. So just to kind of reiterate, when you are doing this, you will make a copy of it for every single group that you have. And then all you are going to do is start with the alphabet, if that is where you are starting. And then what you can do from there is mix up your alphabet. And then every week when you are adding a new skill in, you just drag that up. So this is just one part of my instruction, but it's really powerful and it really sets the kiddos up. I was really proud of myself because our speech language pathologist, she was like, I knew that this came from you, because her kids came to her and they were talking about the TH sound and they were all like, or th, and so they really do start to internalize it. So I don't have a set amount of time that I spend on skills. It really just depends on the kids. I've had kids where I can go through blends in like 2 weeks, but then I've had kids where they struggle to even hear blends, and so it takes a lot longer. With prefixes and suffixes, it depends on the level of prefix and suffix. So Anglo-Saxon prefixes and suffixes and all of the things on the morphology deck are they are labeled. That's the word. They are labeled. And so Anglo-Saxon tends to be the easiest, right? Like children get that full means full of. So you can do full and less really quickly because they're pretty concrete. But then once you get to something like Latin, IN, that can also change to IM and IR and IL, it might take you a lot of time. So there is no set time. I got my beginning training for all of this was through Orton Gillingham, and then I've really just been learning on my own since then. Someone had asked a question about that. So before I let y'all go, I'm going to open the floor for any more questions. Someone asked, do I do some type of formal assessment to remove the sound from the deck? What a great question. No. I honestly, what I do is I pay attention to their spelling. And so, for example, like ing, ang, ung, those still tend to jam up my second graders. And so I'm keeping those ones in there. So anytime I see something in their writing that they are not getting, then it's going back into the deck. Like if I took it out, it's going back into the deck. But I never take the vowels out. And I don't think I'm ever taking the prefixes, suffixes out. It's really only the consonants that they get like that. Everything else is staying. Okay, if you have any questions about these, please feel free to reach out to me. I do not mind at all. I really just wanted to give everybody something quick that could help you. So before you leave, I do have a document I'm going to share. So I know that a lot of you are brand new to me and all of this can be really overwhelming. So I made this document that is my instructional must-haves. The first thing on it are the sound decks, but it's the paid one. So if you would rather have copies of it, I've put them on there. But keep in mind, those decks, those PowerPoints are going to be free forever. Please share them with whoever you want. I think it is such an easy way to get started. So here's the document that are my instructional must-haves. And everything in this document is actually on sale because I just wanted to give everybody one way to jump into this. Feel free to reach out to me at any time. I mean that sincerely. I will get back to you as soon as I can, depending on how my toddler is. But yeah, so thank you so much. And I hope that you guys, please reach out to me if you do try sound decks. I would love to hear how it goes. Thank you so much.